No, Simpsons did it. Simpsons did it.
No, no.
Simpsons did it. Simpsons did it. Don't have a cow, man.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're counting down our picks for the most memorable, lovingly critical references between two legendary animated sitcoms.
This a TV show, or did I walk into a third grade shoebox diorama?
Number 15, Trey Does Everything, Whistler's father. Lisa's insecurities consume her musical talents after it's discovered that Maggie is a whistling prodigy.
Where is that whistling coming from? Maggie? It is you!
The older sister tries to reassure herself that there's talent to go around, using the South Park guys as an example. Unfortunately, she then angrily alleges that Trey Parker has more responsibilities than Matt Stone.
We can both be good, like the South Park guys. Except Trey does everything. Trey does everything!
This was a scathing reference to the division of labor among South Park Studios' creative heads. Parker does a lot more writing, directing, and voice acting. However, Stone leads the all-important business side of things. Moreover, Parker considers his partner essential in coordinating the show's dense content and frantic production.
It's like any time that you get a band, you can sit there and be like, okay, well, it's all Eddie Van Halen. But as soon as David Lee Roth leaves, you're like, that band. You know what I mean? And it's like, and Eddie can sit there and say, well, I write everything. And it's like, yeah, but you're not Van Halen without David Lee Roth.
While Stone's more direct creative work is usually uncredited, Lisa can rest assured that Trey hardly does everything. Number 14, Simpsons Reanimated, Treehouse of Horror 25. The Simpson family breaks down in a treehouse of horror story in which they encounter the ghosts of their original Tracy Ullman Show designs.
Noble spirits, your time has passed. That was unmotivated. Don't have a cow, man. Shut up! Ay, caramba!
They all ultimately reconcile in the spirit world, but Lisa wonders how many other Simpsons incarnations are out there. The house is then occupied by many clones of the family in different animation styles, including South Park's. This is one of the most distinct designs in the lineup. There's no need to mention where the animators got their inspiration for this crude cutout aesthetic. It's a loving tribute that gives viewers a fun look at what the Simpsons animators think a crossover should look like. Unfortunately, their design has never actually been used in South Park.
The hell is wrong with you, Butters?
They did that on The Simpsons. Ha!
Number 13, Donuts for Dollars. Freemium isn't free.
With mobile apps, we now have the ability to make games that are boring and stupid. But if you pay for incentives, you're rewarded.
Some mobile app games have been criticized for boring free players into buying premium features. The Simpsons Tapped Out was one of the most infamous culprits. It thus influenced the design of a game that Canada's Minister of Mobile Gaming used to knowingly scam users. In fact, when he illustrates the scheme on a whiteboard, donuts are among the virtual currencies referenced. They're also the virtual currency purchasable on Tapped Out.
This game is life-ruiningly fun!
South Park's digs at the game may be a bit esoteric for non-players, but they must have hit on a serious problem. The Simpsons Tapped Out was scrubbed from app stores in 2024 before going inactive a few months later.
I spent $1,000? Oh well, I'll just tell them that my kid did that. Uh-oh.
Number 12, Big Bone Bart, the Heartbroken Kid. When an obsession with junk food puts Bart's health at risk, the family sends him to a weight loss camp.
They're not kidnappers. They're professionally trained child snatchers who are taking you to a maximum security fat camp.
I'm not fat!
He's so deep in denial about his obesity that at one point he claims to be just big boned. While a person can technically be big boned, that's not the same thing as being overweight.
Bart Simpson, I'm just big boned.
No such thing.
Growth spurt?
Doesn't exist.
This can't be legal.
It's legal enough.
It's uncertain whether Bart was directly referencing South Park with this line. However, we've all come to associate the big bone defense with Cartman. The questionable excuse is popularized as one of Cartman's most famous catchphrases.
Did any of you children see the alien spaceship last night?
Yeah, Fat Boy saw it.
That was just a dream. And I'm not fat, I'm big boned.
If these two portly delinquents aren't cautionary tales to be realistic about one's health, at least they've raised a red flag with the term big boned.
Number 11. South Park Park, Treehouse of Horror 33.
A spoof of Westworld ends with androids of the Simpsons family narrowly escaping their own theme park.
Well, we've driven for hours and no one followed us. I think we're free.
Well, what do we do now?
Unfortunately, it is revealed that they are trapped in a remote landscape, covered with theme parks based on animated sitcoms. Among them is the perfectly named South Park Park. It had to be hard for the animators to pass up the opportunity for this hilarious wordplay. With all the trendy shows that were referenced in this 2022 sight gag, it also displays just how iconic Stan Marsh's hat is. The Simpsons' dig at pop culture branding may in fact be perfect promotion for a real-life South Park Park. It could only be more successful than Cartman Land.
And the best part is, you can't come. That's right, because at Cartman Land, only I, Eric Cartman, can get in.
Number 10. Hashtag cancel the Simpsons. The problem with A Poo. Mr. Hankey is finally driven out of South Park to find a place that will tolerate his insensitive humor.
He'll have to find a place that accepts racist, awful beings like him. There are still places out there who don't care about bigotry and hate.
That place ends up being Springfield, where the Christmas Poo is welcomed by A Poo Nahasapima Pedalon. This twist was foreshadowed by the episode title's obvious reference to the problem with the Poo, the documentary that led to The Simpsons retiring the titular stereotypical character.
You are ashamed of me? Me, who has been as loyal to you as Gunga Din to Sergeant Archibald Cutter.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. You're my uncle, bruh, and I love you, but you're a stereotype, man.
The controversy was so great that the problem with the Poo ends with the hashtag cancel the Simpsons. Of course, that ironic statement was more a slight against cancel culture. South Park actually promoted its 22nd season with the hashtag cancel South Park. The show may still exalt free speech, but even it had to remind The Simpsons that there are consequences to alienating audiences.
Some things will be dealt with at a later date.
If at all.
Number 9. A free speech debate. The Squirt and the Whale.
It appears The Simpsons and South Park can be respectful in their competition of satire. In 2010, one of Bart's chalkboard gags reads, "South Park, we'd stand beside you if we weren't so scared." This was in reference to a contemporary South Park episode that animated the prophet Muhammad in a rough cut. Comedy Central heavily censored the episode, concerned about offending Muslim audiences and provoking extremist groups.
Throughout this whole ordeal, we've all wanted to show things that we weren't allowed to show. But it wasn't because of some magic goo. It was because of the magical power of threatening people with violence.
This sparked a public debate about the extent of free speech in satire and animation. The matter was so touchy that some broadcasts of The Simpsons episode changed the chalkboard gag. Nonetheless, the show took a neutral stance in the controversy, respecting both South Park's free expression and the value of practicing it with caution.
Number 8. I Killed Kenny 6475. Homer the Whopper.
When Bart and Milhouse discover that comic book guy created his own character, Everyman, they encourage him to publish.
Actually, I like it.
You what now?
Everyman is awesome. Reading it, I escaped from my troubles. Now they're back in spades.
Comic Book Guy has long feared the response of such prominent members of the online community as I Killed Kenny 6475.
If copies got out, it would be ridiculed by the online community. Son of Spock, the Dork Knight, I Killed Kenny 6475.
This username is obviously a nod to the South Park running joke of Kenny McCormick getting killed and resurrected. It seems to be a loving tribute from The Simpsons, but it's not so flattering next to the usernames Son of Spock and the Dork Knight. Bart dismisses these users as losers, while the notably dorky Milhouse confesses to being two of them.
Don't be afraid of them. They're just lamos like yourself.
2 of them are me.
The Simpsons even has some blows at South Park's fan base. They still couldn't crush Comic Book Guy's dreams, unlike the Hollywood film adaptation of Everyman.
It is that this is The worst movie ever!
Number 7. Something in common with Homer Simpson, Ike's Wee Wee. South Park's first reference to The Simpsons was a quick but clever one. Mr. Mackey becomes a pariah after bringing marijuana to school for an anti-drug lecture. He's walking down the street when a driver shouts,
"Hey, Mackey, now we see what you and Homer Simpson have in common. Dope!"
Obviously, Homer's iconic catchphrase is dope, otherwise referred to as annoyed grunt.
Oh!
That's them all right.
The mockery isn't so much in the wordplay as it is in its irreverence. Look, drugs are bad, okay? But it's hard to deny the charm in this mean-spirited one-liner and its perfect comment on how Mackey's stunt was misinterpreted. A mistake like this is still a bit too serious to be throwing around annoyed grunts.
You know what you need? You need a good stiff drink. Oh, I don't drink. Okay.
Number 6. The loathsome Eric Cartman, Gorgeous Grandpa.
When Grandpa Simpson considers returning to professional wrestling, Mr. Burns hypes up being a heel in and out of the ring.
Would you ever consider throwing your wig back into the ring?
Go back to being a villain? Oh, forget that. Being hated is the worst feeling there is.
The acclaimed musical number High to Be Loathed alludes to several iconic villains in history and pop culture, including Eric Cartman. There is, of course, no debating that Cartman is a bad influence on South Park. Still, it seems pretty harsh to compare him to the likes of Chucky, Darth Vader, and Joseph Stalin.
Chucky, Stalin, Megatron, Eric Cartman, Donkey Kong.
Cartman literally appearing in Burns' shadow is bad enough. Both figures' popularity may also speak to some value in villainy. But it appears The Simpsons and South Park will even try to best each other with their worst characters.
Yes! Yes! Oh, let me taste your tears, Scott. Your tears are so yummy and sweet. Dude, I think it might be best for us to never piss Cartman off again.
Number 5. Uto Killed Kenny, Oh Brother, Where Bart Thou?
Springfield looks a bit like South Park, Colorado during a snowstorm. This season 21 episode eventually embraces that in one of The Simpsons' boldest homages. While Bart and his friends wait for the school bus, the soundtrack and animation jarringly changes to a certain other show's style.
My dad is such a jerk. I want a baby brother and he said no.
Maybe you could trick your parents into making a baby, the way my mom nearly tricked Charles Barkley.
The kids are even wearing the same wardrobe as their South Park counterparts, complete with a parka that muffles Ralph's speech. When he is then struck by the bus, Otto exclaims that he killed Kenny.
Oh my God, I killed Kenny!
Ralph!
No, I killed Kenny yesterday. What did I do now?
Well, somebody named Kenny. This offhand gag caught viewers off guard. The Simpsons rarely acknowledges other animated sitcoms this explicitly, let alone openly rips them off. The show clearly has particular feelings about South Park, positive or negative.
Number 4. Cartman and the Bartman, Cartoon Wars Part 2.
This is manipulation at its highest level. You should let me handle this.
I'm a pretty bad kid.
Really?
Can you believe there was a debate over whether Eric Cartman is a worse kid than Bart Simpson? At least they have a mutual competition in Family Guy. The opportunity to get the show canceled brings Cartman and a boy who looks suspiciously like Bart to the offices of Fox. There, the kid is shocked by Cartman's tales of evil and helps him thwart Kyle's efforts to save Family Guy. The student in cartoon juvenile delinquency had become the master. Luckily, Kyle is able to talk Bart out of sinking to Cartman's level.
Thanks, kid.
It was all a formal declaration that the Simpsons' dysfunctional characters couldn't compete with South Park's. That didn't stop Cartman from getting even worse from there.
I know how it feels to want to take over and rule the earth and have everyone else be your slaves. I do, bro.
Number 3. A third-grade shoebox diorama, The Cad and the Hat.
In an elaborate couch gag, Homer enters other animation sets to find his stolen boat painting.
Hey, where's our sailboat?
Oh, you really tied the room together.
His first stop is a snowy town, which he says looks like a third-grade shoebox diorama. It's no wonder some kids welcomed him with a barrage of indiscernible screaming and swearing.
Did you steal my painting? Out of the mouths of babes.
Although the other sets Homer entered were much more faithful to their show's original aesthetic, South Park got the harshest spoof by far. The Simpsons reduced the show to its crude animation and vulgar writing. Homer's remark, "out of the mouths of babes," even belittles Trey Parker's social satire.
I was shocked and appalled.
Whether this critique was fair, it's one of the most mean-spirited that The Simpsons ever made to another show.
Number 2, cartoon violence, The Bart of War.
After South Park's classic spoof, Simpsons Already Did It, war was declared with The Bart of War. The episode opens with Bart and Milhouse watching a fictional episode of South Park, in which the gang attends a benefit concert just to drop celebrity names. A robot then farts out O.J. Simpson for a gory rampage. This is right up the itchy and scratchy fans' alley. But clearly, the show's crude animation and writing style are not to the taste of the Simpsons staff.
Kids, that cartoon's not life-affirming. We're going to watch a show about the everyday problems of angels.
Bart's ironic praise of South Park's freshness after a fraction of his show's episode count suggests that Comedy Central's biggest hit lacks longevity. Years later, though, The Simpsons and South Park are still going strong and going at it.
Dude, can I go before you?
Eat my shorts.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Has that plan been done before? Simpsons Already Did It.
Cool, it'll be just like on The Simpsons.
Huh?
They did that on The Simpsons.
Honestly, The Simpsons plots can get rather harebrained. They certainly spoke to Butters' supervillain alter ego, Professor Chaos, even though he'd never watched the classic sitcom. He just coincidentally considers disturbing South Park by blocking out the sun, beheading a public statue, and more. The assumptions that he's paying homage eventually distress Butters so much that he imagines being in the Simpsons universe.
What the hell's wrong with him?
Only by accepting that most ideas are inherently derivative does he snap out of it. This whole storyline confronts The Simpsons on its longevity and inevitable narrative strain.
They'll never stop The Simpsons. Have no fears, we've got stories for years.
At the same time, it acknowledges that South Park and the whole animated sitcom genre are ripoffs. These unforgettable critiques have only grown more relevant as both shows continue 2 decades later. What do you think of South Park and The Simpsons' well-meaning feud with each other, among other shows? Throw down in the comments.
We come up with an idea and somebody says Simpsons did that. Yeah. They've just done everything, and they've done everything well for the most part, which is really equally infuriating.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.